Now, Kate, Lee was a pretty outstanding student. Among one of the many awards that he got there was the WRBC Award for Academic Achievement in Physical Chemistry. So when he came out here, despite his promise as a peak chemist, he joined the Bergman and Tronic group, where he's been for about a year now. So anybody who spent a decent amount of time with Lee, or I guess even those who haven't, know that Lee is kind of a wild guy. You know, he's like a little bit of a nonconformist. He likes standing out in the crowd. And I talked to some of his family members about this, and apparently this behavior extends back. I mean, basically till he was an infant. But I'll try and hit on some of the highlights. So when he was 6 years old, he decided that Michael was maybe the most boring middle name that he could have, and he wanted to really spice things up a little bit. So he demanded that he be allowed to change his middle name to Elvis. So that was not successful, but he kept on pressing on. A few years later, when he was 9 years old, he really, I guess this was in 1991, Too Legit to Quit, suggested his part. He wanted to be like his idol MC Hammer, so he asked for a pair of hammer pants. I don't know how many of you are familiar with it, but it's really, really baggy, nylon, shiny pants. They're also called parachute pants. So he asked for a pair, and his mom went to the mall in Akron, I think, and couldn't find a child-sized pair. So she gets back to Bellevue, and Lee is pretty heartbroken and really, really wants parachute pants. So Lee's mom, being a great person, went out to the fabric store, got neon green and purple nylon, and actually made him a pair of child-sized parachute pants. Now, to complete the ensemble, Lee also started rubbing a lot of, I guess, not maybe sort of like hair grease in his hair and combing it straight up. And this required a lot of maintenance, so he always carried around a comb for the time that he had his haircut. So to keep on the subject of hair, to fast forward to high school, you know, he stopped listening to MC Hammer, started listening to a lot of grunge music, Nirvana, and he grew his hair out really long and wild, and his brother described it sort of as like a caveman. Now, I think I mentioned that Bellevue is a pretty small town, you know, everybody knows each other's business, it's very close-knit, and Lee's family was actually pretty well respected. His dad is a minister, his grandfather is a retired sheriff, so they're really sort of a pillar of the community. And so his parents were cool with it there, but his grandfather really didn't like it and kept on asking Lee to cut his hair. You know, he said, Lee, people will think that the bishops are a bunch of hippies if you keep your hair. So Lee, you know, wanted to retain his individuality, so he kept the hair. Lee's grandfather started offering him money, and I mean money beyond what it would cost to go to the barbershop and get his hair cut. And Lee kept on resisting, Grandpa kept on upping the ante. And finally, Lee cracked at $500. So since then, you know, Lee sported kind of a variety of interesting hairstyles, and, you know, I really think because any day now he thinks that somebody is just going to come around the corner and say, no, Lee, cut your hair, here's $500. Who knows, maybe Bob paid him off to cut the mullet off. So Lee's kind of wild side hadn't always paid such high dividends. When he was in college, he went to this party with some of his friends, and apparently it was like the most boring party, you know, lights turned on really bright, playing video games, no music, no Doritos, nothing. He like wants to spice it up a little bit, and he tries convincing everybody to wrestle him, thinking that this would really get the party started. For some reason, people aren't really into this, but he keeps on being really aggressive about it. Finally, the first guy who steps up and says, you know, I will wrestle you. It turns out that he was like a minor league pro wrestler, and needless to say, Lee just got stomped. And this all ended with Lee being on the ground, pinned on the ground in some sort of commission pole. I was curious as to see what kind of commission poles were there in. I don't know. I said, well, what's hurt? And, you know, I said, my pride, Courtney. I could probably go the rest of the hour with funny Lee stories, but I'm going to hand it over to him. He's been really awesome to have in the Bergen group. He's a great guy and a hard worker. Presumably the Toronto group feels the same way about him. But he's chomping at the bit to tell you about Big Pilot and Big Invasion.